Do you want next year to be the best year you've ever had in your business? If so, it's time to start prepping now. Hi, my name is Rashida Dow, and on this channel, I talk about ways to make money from wherever you are in the world. Now, if you're an entrepreneur and you have a business, end of year planning is one of the most important things you can do. We're going to call this a plan, but it's a plan/review. We're going to review what we did last year and make some plans for next year. Most important thing you can do not miss it, or you're not going to set off next year right. You want to start off next year on the best foot. You want to make 6 figures, you want to make 7 figures. You need to start looking at it now. Even if you don't have a business that's making really any money right now, even if you just have an idea for a business, it's not too early to think about the things we're going to talk about in this video. I've had a variety of online businesses since 2019. And one of the things I will say that I've not always done very well, it's the first thing on my list for you. And the first thing I'm going to tackle at the end of this year is to analyze my results from this year. What went really well? What didn't work at all? Where could I have done things differently? But to analyze my results, I'm going to collect data. I'm going to check my social sites to see what I did. A lot of times we post on social media and we expect things to happen, whether that's sales or growth of a social media platform. But we're not really looking at what we're posting, right? And so I'm going to compare what I posted to my growth. And I personally track my social media growth every week. I know that can sound kind of crazy, like you're tracking the growth. I can pinpoint my growth on the different platforms, whether that's YouTube, whether that's Instagram, whether I also track my email subscribers. Every week, I can track the growth or the decrease in my audience based on something that's happening in my business. I know what helps my business grow, and I know what doesn't. I'm very clear about that because I track those numbers. So I'm going to review those at the end of the year. One of my goals for this year, at the end of the year, is to sit down and see how I can attribute the sales I've made, not the growth in my community, not the growth of followers anywhere, but the sales I've made, and see if I can attribute that to different platforms. That should track well with the growth, because I know, hey, if I'm in this publication, my followers grow, but the sales also happen. In weeks when I haven't had any publicity, perhaps my growth came from an email that I sent to the audience. And so maybe that's a really good email for me to send again. So that's a review I'm going to do at the end of the year. When did the sales come? And what can I attribute them to? Now, that's something I should have been tracking all along, but I haven't. But I'm going to create a tracker, and I'm going to do a review looking back. This is going to be a really great thing for you to do too, so you can see what works and what does not work with your audience. Next on my list, I'm going to set new targets. Now, this isn't necessarily goals or intentions for my business. This is about me sitting down and looking at the work I've done this year and saying, what do I want to do more of and what do I want to do less of? I can tell you right now, I want to be more involved in the community that's associated with my group coaching program. I want to do less one-on-one coaching. Sitting down and deciding what you want to leave behind, what you're tired of this, you don't feel like doing it anymore, it doesn't light you up. What are those things that you can leave behind, and what are the things you want to do more of in the new year? All right, next on the list, I'm going to take one of my planners. I use the Full Focus Planner, and I'll link to that in the description below. And I'm going to set it up for the next year. I do one of these a quarter, but sometimes I get kind of lazy in the beginning, like I won't fill out the goals, or I don't do it completely. I'm going to take some time before the new year starts and complete this. You can tell I've used these a lot. These are my used ones over here, and these are my new ones that I haven't used yet over here. So I have a lot of these, and they've always served me really well. The other thing I'm going to do with this planner is look at the ones I've already used for the year and see if there's anything that I need to roll over, any goals I had for this year or any to-dos. Sometimes I'll think, oh, it would be really great for my business if I did X, and then life happens. Life be lifing, and that X never happens, right? I never get around to creating that new lead magnet that was like a brilliant idea that I had, or monetizing something, or cutting something out. It's in here though. And so I'm going to go into these and figure out if there's anything I've left behind that I want to roll into the new year. Also in my planner, I'm going to be very clear about what my business goals for the year are and what my priorities are. Those are not always the same for me, right? Like my goal might be an outcome, right? My goal might be making, I don't know, making $10,000 a month could be my goal, right? What are my priorities? Am I prioritizing rest, right, for myself? Am I prioritizing ease in my business? And if I am, how am I getting to the ease, right? Am I prioritizing action? And if so, it's really hard to take action for a year. So where can I schedule sprints of action in the planner? Where can I say, okay, I know I'm not going to want to be sprinting in December. You're done. I'm done. We over, right? But maybe in like, and not May, because that's my birthday, and we don't do no work on my birthday. So those are 2 months I usually take off. But maybe I want to sprint in April before my birthday or June after. Speaking of taking months off, when you think about your goals, if my goal is $10,000 a month, how can I make $10,000 a month in the months that I'm taking off from work? So if I'm not working in December and I'm not working in May, what is my plan to hit my money goal in those months? Those are things I'm going to think about as I plan out my year. What are your business goals for next year? Let me know in the comments and let me know how I can support you. Is there something you want to know? Is there something I can help you with? Hit me in the comments and let me know. Next up on my list, I want to review the systems I'm using in my business. The systems, the products, the online software. What am I using and am I happy with what I'm using? Or is it time to look for a different provider, right? Is it time to figure out a way to simplify something? Am I happy with the tools I'm using in my business? Or is it time to do something else? Related, it's time to look at the expenses in my business, the subscriptions, all the things I'm paying for, the tools, everything I get charged for. Am I getting what I'm paying for? Do I still want to pay for? Am I still need it? Sometimes what happens is that you're paying for two things because the first thing you bought doesn't have something you want. And then all of a sudden they do a little new release and it's in here now. So I don't need this. I don't need this supplementary thing right now, right? Like Zapier does a lot of things. And so I use it for multiple reasons. But when the reason I first got it was eliminated because the company that I needed Zapier to fill a gap, Zapier automates things. So there's something that I couldn't automate and the company automated it. And I was like, well, I don't really need you, except I use you for these other things. So it's still valuable to me, but for the initial thing I needed it for, don't need it. So look for things that you might not need. Look for the ways that money is leaking out of your business in ways that don't serve you or your clients. Next on my list, what personal development do I want to invest in next year? I'm a big believer in coaches. So around the end of the year, I start thinking, actually around August, I start thinking, what coaching program do I want to be in next year? What events do I want to attend, whether in person or virtual? How do I want to forward my knowledge so that I can be a better provider for my clients? What are the ways that I can learn more, I can be more, and I can be better to myself, right? Like personal development is not always going to be about the business. I need to be good to myself. So how can I be better for myself, to myself? Last on my list, pick something to outsource. One thing more than you're outsourcing this year, right? Whether that's something that you outsource to a tool that does it automatically, or whether that's something you outsource to a person. Every year I try to take something new off my plate. And I say, this is the thing that next year I'm not doing that anymore. And that's what leads to my life of ease, while also being a six-figure entrepreneur, right? Like I make over $100,000 a year doing as little work as possible because every year I reevaluate what's going on in my business, right? Every year I'm like, what works, what doesn't work? What are the things that someone else can do or a system can do that I don't need to have my hands in? And that is going to make me a happier person, a healthier person, and a better business owner. All right. If you found these tips helpful, go ahead and subscribe and turn on the notification bell because I'm coming to you this year, next year, for the foreseeable future with many more tips about being an online entrepreneur, things you need to know to have the best business possible. So until next time, I'll see you. Bye.